And I wore a polo today because I mean business. People in polos make money. I've been wearing a lot of t-shirts and jerseys. Haven't made any money in those, so it's time. It's time for business. John, how are we doing?
I'm feeling good, dude. I'm right aligned with you. Usually, this is about the part of my morning where I'm starting to stress out. I'm thinking like, okay, gotta get out of the stream, finish up some lineups.
Yeah,
Started last night. I started my process last night, built a couple lineups, finished up this morning. I had some time to go make another cup of coffee. I've just been kind of hanging
beautiful.
out ready for the show. So I think we're this is a good DFS week. This is a really good DFS
This is a good one. So, for those tuning in, whether it's the first time or you've been here before, what we're gonna do this morning, we're gonna go over some of John's spreadsheets. We're gonna get excited about the slate. We're gonna talk through some plays, and then as we do that, we're gonna be building a DraftKings lineup, but we're also going to be talking Rumble lineups and build our Rumble lineups as well. So if you have questions about Rumble or fantasy plays in general, fire those in. And then as we get towards the end, what we're going to do, AJ's not going to be joining us today, but what we're going to be doing is maybe taking a look at some of the Sunday, the challenges. I know that they've already been announced, so the speculation's already happened, all that fun stuff. But yeah, that's what we'll do today. And as mentioned, we will be giving away a premium pack and for NFL All Day. And in order to qualify for this, all we have to do, we got to like the stream, we got to subscribe to Team Hold, and then go ahead and put hashtag John Boy Skeets into the chat. All right, John Boy
week.
Skeets. It's a big day. It's a big day. We got Norman from Germany. Good to see you here. I see Boylan, Joker Rock, 22 twos, Naked XYZ, Sneeps is here, Forgeman. We got the gang's all here. So uh let me drop a link in the chat too. I'm gonna drop one more thing as we are going over some of John's breakdowns. Feel free to sign up to for Momentum Labs if you haven't done that yet. You've got a lot of sick
Beautiful.
NFL All Day, NBA Top Shot stuff, which is right around the corner. A lot of different breakdowns and stuff like that. So
We
all right,
are
that
we are in the works. I'm not going to commit to anything, right? We like to under promise over deliver, but we should have a flash challenge tracker live
ooh baby.
relatively soon.
Yeah, maybe even
That
some
is if, all day is it dead.
that's true. That is true. So flash challenge trackers, maybe even some so rare stuff coming down the pike.
Ooh, yeah, we definitely will.
Um but let's dive into this slate. I think what's so exciting about today compared to most slates is I feel like very rarely are there two chalky like situations, two chalky games, and they're both in the late slate and or in the 4 o'clock slate. And because of that, there's not like 4 or 5 different ways you can pivot off of it late. You have like one other, there's only 3 games in that slot, and that third game is a piece of shit. So there's not a lot of late. There are late swap options, but it's just a little bit
Hmm.
trickier. So
Hmm.
I'm excited to dive in. Kind of take us through a little rundown. Where are you thinking right now? I don't know if you want to start flow charts or where you want to start with us.
Yeah, yeah. Let me get the flowcharts pulled up. But I think this week's interesting because, you talked about it. We've got the Bills, Chiefs,
It's gonna be a fun one.
theoretically should be a shootout, right? We just saw the playoffs games happen. I was looking through that game this morning. And that from last year, Gabe Davis had 55 DraftKings points in the playoff game. It's just
That
insane. And Allen had like 40, and then like Hill and Kelsey both had like 30. It was just
well,
insane.
you know what's so fascinating about that too, right? So that's the recency bias from that performance, and then even more recency bias from last week where he goes bonkers, right? After
Yeah,
like being quiet, and still no one's really talking about him. Like
yeah.
it's not like he's getting steamed up at all.
Right, right. Yeah, I think so that was what I wanted to bring up in relation to this game is on a slate like the playoffs, right? You obviously need to have those big ones. But
Right.
I don't know. I think this week and I've seen it, we've seen it a little bit with looking through some of the other chalk as well, just in general. I mean, I've spent a lot of time on this slate and
Hmm.
there's a ton of good game environments. There's a ton of like good value, good people that are projecting well that aren't going to be very high owned. And so I think we've found ourselves in some spots over the last couple of weeks where there hasn't been a ton of great projections. And so
Right.
when you're playing the GPPs and you're going against the chalk, you're feeling kind of gross doing it. And like I don't know, man, I've probably ripped through 50 or 60 lineups this morning as I'm trying to get into my core here and a lot of them feel really good and a lot of them look good, they project well, they
Yeah.
show up good on my sheets and stuff like that. And so I think that it's not going to kill you to go against this game, the Bills Chiefs game, mostly because I think a lot of the players are pretty highly priced, right? So
Right.
Mahomes and Allen are the two highest QBs. Kelsey's higher than Andrews by $800. Diggs is the third highest receiver, and he's got some pretty well projecting guys right below him, and like the Chase, Marquise Brown, DK Metcalf range.
Hmm.
And then obviously Justin Jefferson and Cooper Cup above him can all do well. Justin Jefferson's only 500 more, and
And I
will have
think,
much less ownership.
just to clarify too, like, you're not saying that's a bad situation. You're just saying, like, with the ownership going into this, like, funneling into that game, and then we're going to talk about Seahawks and Cardinals in a little bit too, like those two games, seeing that there are so many other projections close to it in different spots, um, that there are other shots to take. Because I know we're going to get into running backs too, with all of the different injuries that are out there
Yeah.
because of these lower priced guys who are projecting really well. It's just so much easier. You're like, oh yeah, I'll just play like Ramondre and Dion from the Colts, and then it's easy to go Allen Diggs and run it back with like Kelsey, or run it back with
Right.
MVS or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Because you had an interesting question that you asked me this morning, like about Hayden Hurst. Do you think Hayden Hurst gets steamed if Higgins
Mm,
is out? And we'll be getting that news hopefully within the next 20, 30 minutes or so. And I was thinking like, well, I don't really know what Hurst opens up, but I guess it does open up, Allen, or opens up Allen, Diggs, Kelsey, that kind of player. So
yeah.
playing the double tight end with Kelsey, I'm sure there's going to be some people doing that. So I think the cheaper you go this week into chalk, I think the more likelihood that's going to be in the Chiefs Bills game, and then some of the mid tier chalk, I think that's going to be in the Arizona Seattle game. So I think those are important to kind of think about as you're fine tuning your lineups here. I mean, I'll bring up the cash flow chart because we could talk
Yeah.
about the running backs that way. Um, but yeah, like you said, a really interesting week for running backs. I've actually been going around and around this morning trying to solve where I'm at with the cash team, and I had Daryl Henderson in here as kind of a lock. But I think with the news that there's going to be like three running backs
Hmm.
potentially getting carries, and then I don't know. I don't know if I'm super sold on him as a lock anymore. I've been trying to tweet out about it a little bit. I know people have been asking me questions on Twitter this morning, so I've been trying to give some context there. But I think Kenneth Walker and Daryl Henderson are kind of a little bit of a toss up here, and not necessarily a lock. I wouldn't. So depending where Henderson ownership comes in, I think he could be an interesting GPP play, even though he's supposed to be chalky, because I could see a world where he gets under like 20% just with some of the news coming out, late last night of like, yeah, other people are going to get carries. And if he's under 20%, then that's like a really good play. Um,
I think he's going to be way under. Only because, man, it sounds like that you just don't have to do it, right? Like, you do, because of Benjamin. I know Ramondre's not on there. The Colts guys, Walker from Seattle. Like, there's just so many other ways to do it. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, and with people saying Malcolm Brown probably
yeah.
stealing some goal
Yeah, and
line,
some
but
guy Ronnie Rivers is getting some carries or something, dude. I don't
I
know if
did.
that's
I'm
a
a
real
huge Ronnie Rivers guy.
I don't know if that's a real name or where he came from. Maybe XFL, USFL,
Yeah.
something. But and then Ramondre and Eno, I think, are the two safest, right? And
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say Eno's like incredible. Like Ramondre's got the best spot, right?
Yeah, I
But then
think so.
because Eno is so cheap at 4,600, I don't really mind playing him in tournaments either.
Hmm.
Um, but you just got to be aware these guys are probably going to be 40%, 35,
Right.
40% owned, and so you got to be a little bit weird there. And then the other player that's not on the flow chart that I tweeted out about that I'm actually probably going to end up going with for the cash is Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
Mainly because now Olave's out, Thomas is out, Landry's out. I mean, who like
It's gross.
last week Kamara did great, and Taysom Hill sniped all of his touchdowns, right? So like I don't know. I mean, I
Yeah.
think there's a way Kamara gets there pretty easily, and I just think he's a pretty good cash game play.
No, I like that. I like that a lot. And yeah, I get, and like the chase becomes even more of a screaming cash play, right? With the Higgins news, assuming it
Right.
comes in and he's out. Um, yeah, no, I mean, this makes a ton of sense. I like the final piece that we were talking about this a little bit. Christian Kirk, I'm like pretty excited to find a way to to
Mhm.
get him into lineups if I can. I think that'll be pretty unique. I don't think he's going to be super popular. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's funny because you know, this has happened every week, where some of the projecting to be highly owned guys don't really end up coming where they're at, and vice
mhm.
versa. Some of the guys who look like good value end up getting steamed up. I'm playing a ton of Brees Hall this week, and I feel like he's gonna be steamed up pretty high. He's probably gonna flip like Hendo, maybe
I
even
know.
flip Walker, which is a little bit of a bummer. But I think yeah, I agree with you on Kirk. I think he's gonna fall a little bit lower than where he's at.
One of the things I want to talk about as we start pivoting to tournaments and maybe like building our lineups, I saw a
Hmm.
couple of different, I think the established million guys over at ETR were talking about this in, they're obviously pretty heavy on these two late games of the Cardinals, Seahawks, and Bills, Chiefs. And one of the ways to like figure out how to play it is by maybe not playing some chalk running backs at in the 1 o'clock game. So that way you get a little information from the 1 o'clock and you're like, hey, if
Yeah,
my unique play did well, then it's like, fuck it. Allen Diggs, like go on. Right. And then if they
right.
miss, you're like, well, okay, let me figure out a way to get like Christian McCaffrey in here, or maybe I'm doing a Geno double or a Kyler double or something like that, or even
Yeah,
Mahomes, because Mahomes isn't really catching a ton of ownership. Um,
yeah,
which
yeah,
I
for
love the
sure.
thought process of that. I don't want to play like Dalvin Cook. Is that what I'm trying to do?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think like we could pull up the sheets in a second, and go through some of the running backs, but like I think past the Fournette, like Fournette, Mixon, and Kamara is like really the highest I want to go.
Hmm.
I just feel like like there's just so much good value, right? So like you really need a huge score from like McCaffrey or Chubb or something in
Right.
order to like make it so all these value running backs don't matter. Like you need like I don't know, probably like 40 freaking points from McCaffrey or something, which could happen, but
Yeah.
like if Eno gets 20 and like, you know, Ramondre gets 25 or something, like I don't know. I just don't know if McCaffrey's killing you. So but I may be looking at that wrong. So one real quick, one last thing on cash. So I think there's plenty of pathways to get into like four players from the Seattle Arizona game.
Hmm.
There's like even like you could get to five if you wanted. I personally wouldn't love that, and that's just mainly because I think that opens you up to some fragility with your cash lineup, and so I would try to limit it to three players there from that game. But you know, of course, it could happen like Lions Seahawks the couple weeks ago where
Right.
that game just blows up and you're fine. But I don't know. It just seems that just seems a little bit hefty, especially because I don't know about you, Mike, but I've been hearing some chatter about this Cardinals defense isn't actually that bad. Maybe Lockett and Metcalf are not great to play together. Maybe only one of them is going to go off, something like that.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of that, like, don't double, like you're ruining your ceiling by playing both DK and Lockett. Man, I gotta tell. The more I've been thinking about that game from like the tournament side of things, I think I'd be doing the Kyler double. And we were talking about this too, that because Rondell Moore and Zach Ertz and Benjamin are all getting a lot of traction for ownership. I think if I'm going to do it, I am going to double it, and I'm probably going to keep Eno in there. Just do like Kyler, Eno, and then Marquise Brown, and then either come back with like DK or something like that. I think that is how I would attack it, and hopefully
Yeah,
that is unique enough. But I
yeah,
like don't love it. Now, well, I'll talk about another spot in a second, but I've just none of this. Man, just Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes are so scary. And it's
I
got
know.
so many ways of that game being like 38-35, and you're halfway through the second quarter and you're like just throwing the laptop into the ocean because you're smoked. But I mean that
Yeah.
because of that thought process, because that thought's in my head, I know everyone else is thinking that, and it makes
So
sense to go
one
a
of the
different
things I
direction.
will say about that game too that I found was pretty interesting. So on Establish the Run, Gary Hartman does a weekly leverage piece,
Hmm.
and he went back through like the last like 45 games that were a tight spread and a high total, like like over what this one is. Like basically he went back through however many games have been here, and there's been like 40 through the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And for like I think there was only like five of those where like a heavy stack made its way into the perfect lineup. There was
Interesting.
usually always like a player, or maybe usually a player, sometimes no players at all if the game just completely dud it out.
Yeah.
But even in the games that like went over the total, I think there was only, like I don't know, 60% or something only had one player from the game make it into the perfect lineup. So I think there's some context, to not have to feel like you need to force it, because here's the thing with this game, right? They absolutely need to hit their like ceiling. Like
Right.
this game just can't go slow, or there can't be defense or whatever. Like these guys have to hit like big outcomes. And then also you have to figure out a way to like not play it into chalk. And like I was saying at the top, there's options on this slate that are, look great compared to the chalk, but relative to the chalk you need specifically for this game, I
Yeah.
think it's a little bit more thin on the pivots and stuff like that. At least that's just kind of what I've been figuring out this morning and I've been building.
No, I think that makes sense. The two stories I've been telling myself to get off this game, because we the people saying I think the Bills blow them out. Like, yeah, what if the Bills just get up early? And because I would imagine most of the Bills stacks have Chiefs pieces, right? And if the Bills get up
Yeah.
early, uh, maybe it's just a blowout, and you don't like those. A lot of those lineups are hurt because they have Chiefs pieces. The other thing I've been saying, I think JM to win brought this up on Overzit's show on Friday, but like for the Chiefs to do well, or if the Chiefs are going to win this game, it's probably because they like really slowed it down and like have really long drives and don't have those big plays, and it's just kind of dinking and dunking the whole way down. So I've been telling myself those two stories in order to get
Yeah.
off the game. But
Yeah, I
what?
mean, like I think a couple sharp ways to play it if you think the Bills are gonna dominate, right, is to play like Mahomes, Kelsey, and like Singletary, right? Or like or
Mhm.
Mahomes and two pass catchers and Singletary or something, to where like, the Bills get out to a big lead early, Singletary kind of ices the game, none of the receivers really get there, and then
Yeah,
the Chiefs are in comeback mode the whole time. Or you can just do the Allen onslaught with like cheaper guys, right? So you can do
yeah,
like a Allen with McKenzie and Knox, or Allen with Singletary and Knox, or something like that, to where hopefully they score a bunch of points. Allen gets to his 35 or whatever, and it
right.
just goes through the cheaper guys, and you got plenty of room to fit in the studs elsewhere.
No, I like that. Can we talk about my favorite spot right now?
Hmm.
And then maybe we start pivoting into building our DK lineup, and then talk
Yeah.
about some OTM stuff. I I'm a little nervous about it because I think I've been burned a few weeks now on my man Lamar, but I really just like going like Lamar and Andrews. I know Andrews is going to be pretty popular. Lamar's going to get some ownership, but Lamar, Andrews, Duvernay. And
Yeah.
I love Devin Duvernay at 4.7. And I think because everyone's paying down at running back, they're going to be like trying to go up on wide receiver with that salary, or like focusing on that Bills Chiefs game. Um, and I think
Yeah.
you can do it a couple. I think you can do that, and I think you can bring it back with a giant if you want. Like if you want to use
Yeah.
Barkley and just kind of smoke your your salary just on that one
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
or even just taking a dart throw on one of those. I kind of want to take one of those Giants wide receivers just because I know the Ravens continue to get lit up in the air. Did we get news about Wandell? Is Wandell Robinson back?
They said he's gonna be playing, but maybe a little bit limited or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's supposed to be playing. So I think Wandale's interesting. He's only like 3,600 or 3,700 or something. The thing I really like about that game is, like, I don't know. I mean, they're two good teams, right? Who, it may not be a complete shootout, but there's going to be some points that are going to be scored. And
Hmm.
when you look at the Ravens, like, it's pretty much Duvernay and Andrews
Yep.
right now, with no Bateman, and Dobbins still a little bit dicey. And then on the Giants side, it's pretty much Barkley, and then like whatever receiver is going to catch some passes, right? They'll just have like total dust at receiver. And so
Right.
it's such a condensed production game, where I think loading up a couple players from that game makes a lot of sense, because pretty much we know where the points are going to go through, right? We just
Yeah.
talked through the Chiefs and Bills game and talked through like 8 or 9 different guys that can score points. In this game, it's not going to be like that.
Yeah. I totally agree. All right. Why don't we? You want to pull up? You
Yeah,
want to
well,
pull?
I'll fire through the flow chart here, and then I think
Yeah.
that might segue into building our lineup with a little
Yeah.
Brady action. So, really like Brady this week. Brady doubles this week. We saw them get out to a slow start when they had no receivers over the first couple weeks, but then
Hmm.
the last 2 weeks, Brady's had 52 attempts in each game, passed
It's
for over
crazy.
300 yards in both. Got a little bit shorted on the touchdowns last week, but had 3 touchdowns the week before. So I think it's and we saw what the Bills just did to the Steelers,
Hmm.
right? So I think it's a great spot for Brady. I do think that a lot of people are going to go to Obviously Chiefs, Bills, and Arizona, Seattle, and then now there's like this Kamara, Jamar Chase kind of action sweeping through
Yeah.
this morning, and so I just think this like Brady's stuff is not showing up in optimals. Like I don't think that there's going to be steam here, and I think it's a really good spot to potentially go to, and so the I'm pairing him up with either Pickens or Claypool.
Mhm.
A little bit of an interesting spot with Claypool, a little bit of a leverage play there, but who knows? It could happen. And then Fournette, everybody's like, oh well, Fournette ran hot last week. He had 10 catches for 80 yards or whatever. But that was only a 22% target share last week, and in the 3 weeks before that, he'd been averaging a 17% target share. So
Yeah.
it's not like it was crazy, right? I still think Fournette is going to be pretty close to getting 6 to 8 targets this game and still going to be totally fine. So either Fournette or Mike Evans. Mike Evans, I love. I've been trying to get him in a lot.
That's
And then, yeah, go ahead.
No, that I love that. I love that. Because I really want to get to Evans too and kind of move away from Godwin, honestly. But Big Ticket had a question as you were talking about Fournette, and I also know you love Kamara. Like in a half
Yeah.
PPR, do you have a lean one way or the other on those two guys?
I'd probably go Kamara on that one just because like the Saints just have nobody else, right? So like we
Yeah,
saw Kamara almost hit the double bonus last week on DraftKings with rushing and receiving. And I think with half point PPR, I just take Kamara and go a little bit the safe route. But like I don't know if you can't fit them both, like you must have a really a good other running back on your roster. So
that's
I
FanDuel,
would.
baby. That's what it is. That's FanDuel.
Oh, is that what he's talking about?
No, I bet. Well, I just assume
Oh,
half
oh,
PPR is always FanDuel. That's what.
yeah, yeah, I got it. I thought he
uh,
was asking for his roster, his normal
oh,
roster.
maybe.
So then, and then like, so I added in two running backs here, Mostert and Hall, that are right in that range of the cheap guys, but aren't going to be as chalky. And then
Hmm.
paired them up with a little correlation there with Tunyon and Irv Smith. And then you can kind of see pick a chalky running back, pick a stud receiver. There's a ton of fun ways to build the flow chart this week. And I have quite a few of these iterations ready to fire.
So we were talking about it offline, but I think this week we're gonna mainly because of like what my exposure is in single entry. We're gonna fire up a Tommy Brady
Yeah. Yeah,
as
let's do it. Let me
as Weisberg said too. What JBB is really saying now is that Brady has the divorce news out of the way. He can focus on some football.
That's right. That's right. He's back ready for football. He did, maybe schlep it up a little bit at Kraft's wedding the other night, but
That's true,
hopefully
man. What a
he's getting over the hangover.
wild photos. That was not even too far. I didn't even get the invite. I'm
Oh,
not too
really?
far
That's
from
right
where
down the
I'm at.
street from you?
Yeah, well, yeah, I could have made the trip.
So let's take a little look here at our Tampa Bay options with Brady. So we got Fournette, who like again, you guys see all these spreadsheets, but like blues across the board is just the money spot. That's where we want to be in. So a lot of blues there on Fournette, roughly 17% projected ownership. And then we drop down here to where's my guy Chris Godwin, and then Mike Evans, right? So Godwin's projecting a little bit better price relative, but we know Evans has the ceiling there. We just saw what Gabe Davis did to the Steelers last week. Evans
What
kind of that same role.
what do you have at Godwin's ownership right now?
18%
So
is what
this is where I land. This is like, and again, this is just like what up my brain. I'm not. There's no like thing to back it up here, but I'm assuming if people are playing the Brady double, they're just like, give me. There's value running backs. Give me Brady, Godwin, and Evans. Like if you're playing a Brady double, that's the two you're playing, and
yeah.
I'm thinking a little bit about like how Godwin was used last week, and maybe I'm being a little too reactionary. How like once they had a lead, they went away from Godwin a little bit. I know if he would have fallen into the end zone, it would have changed his day. But I kind of like going the Brady Evans route with
Yeah.
either Fournette or I know Brait might have like a split role now with whoever Cody. I don't know what the hell that dude's name is. Otten.
Yeah,
Um,
Otten.
they might have a split role, but like they just throw it to tight ends. That's what Brady does. He throws it to
Yeah.
tight ends. And if we want to save a little salary there and not play the chalk Andrews, Ertz, Higby,
Yeah.
Brady Evans, whatever. Brait kind of gives us
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little.
Yeah, Brait's kind of right in this sweet spot here between Hurst and Irv Smith,
Yeah.
not projecting really that much different. I will say this, as we're looking at the tight ends here, so these are like really good projections for the tight ends that I have here. You see like a lot of blue here.
Yeah.
So like I think I wouldn't be tied down to like playing Tyler Higbee a bunch or playing, Hayden Hurst or whatever. Like there's plenty of good options here this week that are
Right.
blue. Blue just means it's a really good value price relative on my sheet. So
Mhm.
I just think there's a lot of options there. So I wouldn't get too crazy with it. Um, so what I'll agree with you on Godwin about like if they get out to a big lead, maybe they yank Godwin and kind of go a little bit more safe with him. I think we should still build a Godwin lineup.
Sure.
But I like the Evans Brait route. And so then on the bring back, do you want to go do we want to bring back a Steeler? Do we want to stay off the Steelers? What do you think?
The Pickens is the most exciting, which
Hmm.
it makes me think that's what everyone is doing. But because we're playing Brait and not Godwin in this one, I don't really care. I just
Hmm.
checking the price on Claypool right now, and yeah, and they're basically the same price. You're right.
Yeah,
No one is
Claypool's right
clicking.
under Pickens.
Yeah, no one is clicking Claypool. I don't know where are you at right now?
I think so. I've been doing mostly pickings,
Mhm.
and thinking through the kind of tournament that we're in, about 2,000 people in it. I do agree that a lot of people are gonna probably play pickings with Brady. I do so just depending. Like, I absolutely hate Tyler Lockett in tournaments this week, so I
Yeah.
won't be playing any of him outside of cash. And then. Kirk we talked about is a pretty good option, so I could see maybe playing some of him too. But like Johnson is pretty good, price leverage off of Lockett. So because we saved a little salary with Brait, I think we can throw in Deontay Johnson here and just kind of see where it
Oh,
takes us. And I think that will be give us some leverage off a Lockett in the small field, and then be a little bit different than Pickens too.
you know what I was gonna suggest now too, like, but I don't even think we need to do it because I think we've already, like, we haven't really spent too much of salary. But which this would allow us to eat some chalk in our flex and second running back position if we wanted to. But I was thinking, and I know we talked about this a little Travis Etienne and
Hmm.
Alec Pierce mini
Alec
correlation.
Pierce. Yeah. So let's see what that does here. So I'm gonna throw in um, shitty defense. We can figure that out later. And then Travis Etienne,
There you go, deep
and
threat.
then
We were saying why
Alec
not
Pierce.
Deontay
Done.
Johnson? There he is, deep threat. He's in there now, baby.
Okay, so we got a ton of money. So I think we might have too much money.
Yeah,
So
that's
I,
me. I'm as I'm saying this, I and looking at it, I'm like, maybe this is the Godwin
but
build.
yeah, exactly. That's just what. God, man, we're locked
God.
in right now. Well, that's what I was thinking. We'll throw in Chris Godwin here, and then we could put in Pickens on this one or something,
Yeah.
and figure that out later. So the other little correlation I like a lot this week, if we don't do ETN and Pearson, I think I played a couple Pierce lineups with a little bit of ETN action. Um, but that was more in my big field stuff that I was looking at. So
Yeah.
there's a couple different like routes that we can go here. With Johnson and Brait, I don't think we're gonna be running into too much chalk here. 6,200, we've got some money to play with. The pairing that's gonna probably catch some steam and be pretty popular is Kamara and Chase. And I think we can fit him in this lineup if we go there. The other thing that I've been liking quite a bit as well is Mostert and
And
Justin
Jefferson?
Jefferson.
Let
Yeah.
dude, let's fucking go. I was just gonna say that.
All right. Let's see if we can make this fit with brother Raheem.
I love this.
So
Also,
Justin Jefferson's gonna be at 8,900. Oh yeah, we got plenty of room. So 5,200.
we also
So
should be
go
getting
ahead.
in actives, I would say, in another minute or two. So
Yeah, yeah, we should. I think the only news is Higgins, right? Oh, I did
Higgins,
just see here's some good shit that makes you want to play Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow came off the bus wearing Jamar Chase's natty national championship jersey.
yeah, but you know what? This is what I'll say though. I was never worried about Burrow liking Chase.
Yeah, sure.
I was never like,
Uh,
man, if Burrow liked Chase a little bit more, I bet Chase would do better.
Higgins is in, so
Higgins
that's
is
that just
in.
came out.
Also, Deep Threat saying not doing lineups until I hear whether Zay Jones of all people is playing.
Zay Jones, I think, is in. Marvin Jones is out, and then their other brother Tim Jones is in. There's three Jones brothers on the Jags.
The Jones Brothers, one of my favorite boy bands.
Okay, so we got to fit in another running back here. So uh, we have Daryl Henderson,
No,
who we talked about could be a little bit lower owned. We have Eno, we have Ramondre. I think we got to play one of those three
I
because
think
we're in this large field here, or
I
we're in
don't
this small
know
field here.
what our price is looking like right now with what we have left. And we said this offline. I think Ramondre is the best running back out of all of those, in the best spot out of all of those, in both like the highest floor and honestly the highest ceiling. The other thing I would though, Eno, I feel like, and I guess we could play both. I like Eno's role in this, and it's, I know he's going to be popular, but at 4-2, like I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah, yeah. I think so if we play, I'm just gonna drop both these down here. So if we play Ramondre, we're probably having to go down at receiver a little bit and play like
Mhm.
into some maybe some chalk there. Eno Benjamin gets us 5,800. So then we're fitting in maybe a Christian Kirk with Eno Benjamin. And then I think we could actually pull this off if we could do yeah, we can go down to Panthers, who's going to be popular, but then we can fit in our guy Duvernay with
Oh, we
Ramondre.
love Duvs. Ah,
So
man, I love that lineup with
those are
Justin
our two,
Jefferson.
yeah, these are our two kind of options. I think we got basically the difference here is Ramondre Duvernay Panthers versus Benjamin Kirk
Uh,
Dolphin, or Dolphins don't need to be there, but
we did a full fade of the Bills game, and our 4 o'clock hammer play is the Carolina Panthers defense.
makes you feel great, right? Makes you feel really good.
uh, Top Shot Lifer, and this is a good question as we start pivoting to Rumble in a second here. But you think Thielen ever blows up? I feel like I think Thielen is never gonna have like his 14 for 130 and 2 touchdowns again. But I mean, he could grab two touchdowns. Like they still like him in the red zone.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I agree with you. Shit, I got my formatting wrong.
Um,
So
I
here's our Godwin option. Real quick.
Yeah,
I just totally botched that.
no, you're good. You're good. And I'll just remind the people as you're doing that. I know I've got the little banner up, but if you like the stream, subscribe to Team Hold, and then you're going to put hashtag John Boy Skeets into the chat. We get 77 entrants right now. We're going to give away a premium pack right at the end. And Borland's saying Saints are super short-handed at wide receiver again. I know it is. It is pretty. That actually just makes me not want to play the game too much, honestly.
Right.
But I know that makes Kamara look really nice, which is what we were talking about earlier, and as well as man, I feel like fucking Tyson Taysom Hill is going to be involved again. But yeah,
Yeah, I just you can't play Taysom Hill. I
no,
mean, like Jesus.
no. Kamara is the
Um,
only one that makes sense, like for me. And I mean, whatever you want to take a shot at Marquise Callaway or Traquan to just whatever. Like if you're, yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, so I'm just firing on some stuff over here for Godwin options, which I think may be a little bit more enticing for the small field. But so we could play so we could play Etienne and Pierce, and then you could fit Andrews and Kamara in there, which is pretty
That's
nice.
interesting.
Pretty fits pretty well. And then Jaguars defense against, a shitty. I don't know if we love that, including Pierce in here, but whatever.
Yeah.
They are projecting pretty well. And then we could play this way. We could do a little Kelsey, and then we can go. What could we go here? We can go MBS. Or no,
No,
we can go
can we
Isaiah
get to Gabe
McKenzie.
somehow? Oh yeah. Isaiah
We can
McKenzie
get to
here.
Gabe. But we'll see what this says. How do you fuck do you spell this guy's name?
Can you
I
go
think I
last
spelled it
name
wrong.
instead?
No, dude, this is manual, baby. This is spread skeets.
I gotta tell you, I have Isaiah's probably one of the, yeah. There we go. Toughest names to spell in the world.
So then we gotta go down to like, I don't know. So that one's
I looking at all these, man. The Brait with the so we can get Justin Jefferson is pretty
yeah,
sex.
yeah. So then, fuck, dude, are we not gonna play 80 guys in the league with him? This is so sketchy. Um,
Yeah, I mean I whatever. I don't care. I like it. The other thing we could do is move down from Deontay to Pickens or Claypool, and then up from Duvernay to
Yeah,
something like maybe Gabe. I don't know if that gets us Gabe as a one-off, but
yeah, it's a great call.
also
Does
don't
not get
hate
us
to.
to Gabe.
I know I talked about we just missed Gabe. Is that what we said?
It doesn't. We're a 700 short on Gabe.
Oh, not even just missed, but we could. I don't know. Is there anybody in that
We could
range?
go Eno Benjamin uh
Marquis? No, not Marquis.
and then get up to Gabe and then shit. Now we lost a bunch of stuff. What else can we do? Then we still got 700.
No, I think dude, four o'clock games are overrated. There's only three of them.
That's right, dude.
There's only three of them, dude. You
I'm trying to think we could maybe do something. We could do Marquez instead of
oh, more yeah. I was thinking Callaway. I was like Vom
no,
City.
no, no. And then what the fuck just happened? Why did that give us so much salary? Oh, I'm off on something here. Why am I? Oh, because I went down to Pickens. So yeah, what does 58 give? Oh, that gives us Christian Kirk, right?
Ooh, I like that.
That one's,
And we still have no 4 o'clock games.
Is there anybody playing at 4 o'clock today?
Panthers defense, baby, to the moon.
Oh, I mean, we could put in Lockett, but that's gonna be
No, fuck that. All right, we'll finish this the rest
yeah.
offline. We'll let you know what we do. You want to pivot over to Rumble?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I share screen and I'll just like
Yeah.
talk you through let me clear I'll clear my roster and I'll just kind of build from the beginning and I got a couple of fun takes that I think um just cuz Rumble's so different with no salary cap, right? I
Yep.
what do you think? I think Ramondre's still a good play in Rumble.
Oh yeah. Ramondre is the key to Rumble this week, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So he's there's an argument to be made that he's the best projecting running back in the whole league this week,
Yeah.
and it's just, I mean, like I actually find it funny. So the Rumble stuff has been interesting because I think I'd just be interested to hear what moves the needle on Rumble because like last week, Chubb and Eckler came in super high owned
Mhm.
at running back, which
Was
I would have really
surprising.
expected, but
Yeah.
but I think that's because there was so many running backs that were not playing, right. So it was like JT was out, and then like Saquon had a shitty game, and then um, yeah, whatever. So, uh, I just don't think Ramondre is going to get up there. And like, if my projections right now for week 6 Rumble basically have Ramondre like the exact same, pretty much the exact same projection as McCaffrey, Eckler, Barkley.
Yeah.
And I have them coming in at like a third of the ownership.
Question for the community: does Matthew Ioannidis still play for Washington defense? Do you have that in your skeets? I just realizing right now I need to buy a Washington commander.
I don't think it matters if he still plays for him. I think it just needs to say Commanders, right?
No, he's got to play for him.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I feel like I've been down this road before. No,
Here, I do have this on one of these sheets. Let me look it up here.
because I assume with the was it 13 points? Are you just playing that defense?
I don't think I did. I think I played Rams defense.
Oh, you know what? No, yeah, I was thinking it was 16 points. It's 13. Who cares? I'm not buying shit.
Yeah, who cares,
Um,
dude? Don't buy shit.
so
For your reference though, Ioannidis is no longer on the team. You'd have to play Bobby McCain.
no, that's it, dude. I'm out on the Commandos. All right, so I'm I'm going. I think I'm going Ramondre Kamara. I think those are like when I look at
Okay.
running back. I know Barkley has a ton of upside. Obviously, Eckler and be fun to have a Monday night sweat.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think I'm going to play Eckler if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could talk me into Barkley. You could talk me into CMC, talk me into Chubb too. But I think I'm just going to go Ramondre Eckler there.
So yeah, so I think it's important to talk through the running backs this week, and mostly because I think it's a good example of like how to view projections. And I talk about this in my strategy little guide, all the words on the side of my projections, and it hasn't really come to fruition yet because projections have been a little bit out and about, but for this week, one of the things I brought up is like, hey, there's going to be times where like people are within like a fraction of each other in projections and like have a relatively similar ceiling. And like when it comes there, like just look at ownership, right? Like we're not good enough to like figure out like, oh, this guy's gonna score half a point more or whatever. Like that stuff doesn't matter. And so
Mm-hmm.
in the category this week of guys that basically all project the exact same are McCaffrey, Eckler, Barkley, Stevenson, Fournette, Kamara, Mixon, and Chubb.
Wow.
They're all basically like the exact same player within a couple, like a point and a half of each other. And out of that group, Stevenson and Mixon I have as being the lowest owned, and
Ooh.
then Fournette as well. I don't think is
I
gonna catch some ownership
I
either.
like for Jeb. Jeb was throwing a lineup in one of our chats that had some Fournette that I really like. Also, shout out Thomas Welch. She says on a grocery run for football food in another state, so I can get my bets in. Proud of you, man. I know a lot
That's
of people do
beautiful.
that. Also, Consigliere says this feels like a play the lowest mint count play, which I love. Also, my dog is dreaming behind me right now,
There we
and I
go.
think he hates the Consigliere. That's all. The only thing I can say. All right. So for quarterback, dude, what do you think I mean, I guess you could tell me because you have the sheets. What's the combo percentage of Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes this week?
Yeah, so I bumped up both of them quite a bit. I probably didn't bump up Allen enough, but I've got these guys combined around 50,
Yeah.
and it's probably a little bit low. Now, the interesting thing to think about here is Mahomes gets a ton of, let me see, he gets a ton of hero play. So he's usually leading the stream in hero or
Wow.
leading the league in hero. So he gets almost 5% hero. So I noticed that while I was kind of doing the numbers from last week, and I was like, I wonder if it ever makes sense to play Mahomes then if you like don't have a hero of him, right?
Oh
Because
yeah.
like there's 5% of lineups that are just going to be better than you. And so
That's
Allen doesn't,
interesting.
right? He only has the legendary, so he doesn't have a hero. So I don't know, it's just an interesting way to think about it of those two guys.
Yeah, and that makes a ton of sense. I wouldn't have thought about that either. Where do you have Jalen Hurts this week? Because I actually think because he's on a night game
Yeah.
against a good defense, that he's kind of an interesting play from ownership purely. Like
I
I just
have him down at 10%, so basically
still,
half of
yeah,
a third of Allen and half of Mahomes. But
yeah,
that's just because he's been hurt and he's been going off and he's got a pretty good ceiling.
yeah. I
And
hate
where
that
does he
matchup.
project on OTM here? Do you not have a Hertz?
No, I don't have a Hurts right now.
Oh, okay. I'm
Which
wondering where he projects on OTM.
yeah, but actually I can hold on. I'll pull that up right now. Because I know we can look at their projections over. Shout out OTM, by the way. I
Because
know we can.
that does affect how many people click them, I think.
Yeah,
Because a lot of
no.
people are like making their lineups right now. They're just like, oh, yeah, close enough.
So okay, man. So my play is gonna be too high. They still, I mean, fourth, right? Fourth overall.
Yeah.
So behind, man, that's so funny. I didn't think Kyler was gonna project that high. But anyways,
I
back to
think
where.
he'll come in with extremely low ownership this week.
So
So I
okay,
could see like Kyler and Marquise Brown being a fun
that's
little
oh,
pairing.
man. I think because then I can still just. I kind of wanted to go Lamar with Andrews, but I actually think I am gonna do the Kyler Marquise.
Yeah.
And then tight end, I'm still going to play Mark Andrews and just hopefully that captures most of that Baltimore offense that I think is still going to be good. Defense, I love your Rams call. And then I'm definitely playing a wide receiver in the flex. I'm just gonna put Cooper Cup there right now because Cooper Cup's role is just insane, man.
Hmm.
He catches everything. He catches
Yeah.
everything. Mike Venture says I met Janie and Poker Pro Eric yesterday, which
God, I'm sorry.
yeah, I
For PPEs, for
yeah.
the PPE side.
Yeah, it wasn't about Janie. That was about PP. Do you also have to update your PFP now to a photo of you and Janie PP? So and like, do you think it's too Galaxy Brain to just fade Diggs here and play Jefferson? Like, because again, if with this lineup right here, I now have no exposure to that game again.
We just keep talking through like how to not get action on the best game of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's different, right? It's different on Rumble where the salary cap doesn't matter, and like part of me feels like you should have a piece if you
Yeah.
don't have the quarterbacks, but I don't know. I mean, I guess it's fine. It's
Submit.
definitely going to be low ownership.
Yeah, that dude. I'm an ownership bro, man. Forget play the
Doing
best
it.
plays. Forget play the lowest mint counts. That's what we're doing. Do you have anything else that we need to like get out for excuse me, for takes for the slate? Anything else that we want? Oh, yeah. Is there perfect weather in each game today? I hadn't seen anything about weather today.
Yeah, I haven't seen much about weather either. What else did I want to talk through? I feel like I had one more angle that I really liked. Oh, let's talk through Bengals and Saints now that we know Higgins is in, right? So,
Yeah.
and we know Olave's out, right? So I think Kamara is still going to be pretty popular, but I'm not sure how popular Chase will be now that Higgins is in. And I could see it still being a pretty like I could still see Higgins like maybe not even playing a
Well,
ton, right?
we
Like
saw this
he
last
was
week,
like a
right?
yeah.
When Higgins got dinged up, and they still said he was like playable. They were like, "Oh yeah, he's not ruled out. He could come back," and then he just sat on the sideline the whole time. So, yeah, maybe it's decoy season.
Yeah, exactly. So here we go. We got boots on the ground in Cincinnati. Kelsey Conway. After watching warmups, it sure looks like Higgins is going to play. He did have moments where he cringed. It looked a bit uncomfortable, but for the most part, looked like his explosive self. So I don't know.
Yep.
Take that as you will.
But is the Saints defense good?
I mean, they are good, but they don't have Lattimore. And
Oh,
then
oh, so look at that.
so
Dom in the chat. Dom in the
yeah, there we
chat.
go.
Giving it Lattimore's out. Look at that PFP too, Dom. Dom, that's a nice photo, man. You're on
Yeah,
the
looking
water,
great,
looking
Dom.
sharp, dude.
No Damian Harris, so no need there.
Okay.
Remember T. Higgins was active last week, tried to play, exited in the first half.
Oh, man, I'm just like I don't trust. I mean, I guess with Lattimore out, maybe that changes things a little bit. Who did the Bengals play last week? The Ravens, right? And the Ravens defense isn't very good right now, and like Chase still couldn't get anything going. I'm a little nervous now. Which is so stupid because last week I was like, dude, I'm pretty high on Chase, dude, bullish on Chase, Chase to the moon, and now I'm like,
Yeah.
sell.
Yeah, yeah. So Chase is a good play. I think he's a good GPP to play. If there's no Higgins, he was probably going to get into that weird range of like
20.
20% or something
Yeah.
where you're like, damn it. Just because everybody had been talking about him this week. Running through a couple other quick things. Johnny Smith is active, so that probably makes Hunter Henry not great if people were thinking about playing him. Let's see anything else
Also, if
here.
you were thinking about
Damian
playing
Harris is out.
Pats receivers, just fuck off. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah. And then Bill Bardwell says excited to see Kyle Pitts' season debut today. So.
Listen, I was thinking, like, what do you have for Kyle Pitts ownership on DraftKings right now? I can't. No, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. But maybe. But
I
maybe.
did play some Pitts. I played some Kittle and I played some Pitts
Oh, Kittle and Pitts.
in some of the larger field stuff just to hopefully
Dude,
get weird. But
Kittle and Pitts is a
7% for
fantastic.
Pitts.
Kittle and Pitts a fantastic fantasy football name for you guys next year. If you need to come up with a new name, Kittles and
That's
Pitts, come
true.
on, that's pretty good.
Elite double tight end. Well, kind of elite.
Yeah.
We think they're elite.
Oh man, yeah, I am interested in Kittle too. I don't think I'm gonna get there. I was telling you, I'm only playing. I've like scaled back quite a bit, and I'm just doing a couple of single entry lineups, and the one that we're doing together. So I think I'm gonna have a Brady lineup, a Kyler lineup, and a Lamar lineup, and just call it there. I guess maybe in the Kyler lineup, I could sneak in. Especially now that I don't like Hayden Hurst as much as I did, maybe I can sneak in one of Kittle or Pitts. But
So, an interesting way to do Kyler, I think, is I think you have to play him with Marquise Brown because I think he's going
100%,
to be the odd man out.
yeah.
And then I wouldn't play him with Lockett either. And I think those two moves in themselves will probably set you up pretty well.
Mhm.
And then if you want to get weird, you can just not do Metcalf either and play Noah Fant. And just
Noah.
do like a Kyler, like a lot of people seem to think that the Cardinals are just going to kind of have their way here, which I don't really agree. The Cardinals aren't coached well; they don't have a really good defense. I don't see a Cardinals blowout really happening. But
No. I think I
I
picked
mean,
Seattle to win straight up.
did you? Okay. Um, and so I don't know. I think you've got to do. Um, I don't know. I think you got to do Marquise, and you got to do maybe Metcalf or something.
The
But
here's the reason you have to do Marquise. He's really good, and they're throwing to him a ton. They're throwing to him so much, and it's not. Again, I think we said this last week, and again, he had a solid game. But like he's got like one of the highest target shares in the league right now. They're just like, and we're so used to Marquise Brown on the Ravens, where it's like, oh yeah, he's going to get like 3 targets for that. The air
yeah,
yards are going to be like 2 million, and like hopefully he catches one of them,
yeah.
And that's not the role he's playing this year. So
What is Higgins at? What's his price at? Because
oh,
I see the
don't do it.
consigliere asking if he's a good play tonight today. He's
He's
6,300.
that's a
So
little too
like,
high.
yeah, that's a little too high. I mean, you just rather get up to Gabe or go down to Godwin.
If you
What do you
think
think about the Dolphins?
man, I was listening to something today and they were referencing the humidity being like, yeah, dude, like the Vikings play Minnesota, man. They've met this is the last time that you're gonna get that. It's 85 degrees, but the humidity feels like 110 right around the third quarter. Uh, I don't know, man. They have what's the guy's name? Like Skyler?
It's Skylar Thompson, dude.
He looked terrible in that. I mean, I know he's had a week now to like practice with the first team. Also, did you see the report that Teddy was cleared to play?
No.
I was so that they were like, he's like the backup, like he's available, and they're just. But anyways,
This makes sense.
I
Uh,
would just do Mostert and yeah,
yeah,
Bridgewater's going to be active, but they're starting Skyler from Breaking Bad. Um,
I would say the angle in the case of the Dolphins is that Mike McDaniel's is a good coach,
that's a
and
good.
Tyreek Hill is still probably like one of the best receivers in the league. So
What about
they could
Waddle?
scheme it up. They could figure it out with him. I wouldn't. I would rather go Hill than Waddle, just because like 6,200 for Waddle. I don't
Yeah,
know if that really gets you a whole lot, but like Hill is in the range of, the guys like Chase, Marquise Brown, something like that, Stephon
yeah,
Diggs, even where if Hill does blow up, and like he could catch some, like, okay, we've seen Tyreek Hill catch a slant to go 80
right.
yards
Just
to the
go.
house, right? So he could catch some smaller stuff from our guy Skyler here and still get there. And I mean, he's gonna be freaking 1% owned. So I think it's
Yeah,
smart and in large field.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not gonna do it, which means he's probably gonna just smash today. I like our Mostert Jefferson build that we had. I really like that. That's how I'm going to attack it. And I just love the idea of being like, yeah, this football team's fucked, dude, because it's pretty humid in Florida this weekend.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I like it.
Jason T just like coming out off the top rope saying Ricky Williams got brain damage the right way. So by using
Jesus.
marijuana,
There
is
you
that the
go.
take, Jason?
There you
Um,
go.
as we get close to wrapping up here, if you guys have more questions in the chat too, if you want to fire them in, go for that. I'm just real quick, just a reminder, because I saw J7 put hashtag premium into the chat. That's not going to get it done for you, J7. Like the stream, subscribe to Team Holden, put hashtag John Boy Skeets into the chat. Also, I'm going to pump up John's stuff. I know we've been using a lot of his spreadsheets and stuff today. Go check out momentumlabs.app. I recommend signing up for membership there. We're actually going to be giving away a handful of memberships on Tuesday's show for
Maybe.
to kick off the NBA season. So go check that out. Once you get your premium with Momentum Labs, you go join their Discord for a lot of fun stuff. So get in there. Get in there. Quad says there's nothing better than waking up on a Sunday rock hard because Mike and JVB are on. Quad, good to see you,
Let's go,
sir.
Quad. I love it.
um, but yeah, fire in any questions if you got them left. I'm pretty excited. I'm going to go to a bar right after this ends to go watch the Ravens Giants game, and I'm not going to make any noise because I'm in New York and so the big Giants contingency.
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah.
excited to sweat out the Lamar Jackson game.
Yeah, I
Excited
mean,
to sweat it
so
out.
I do this thing which is pretty useless, but I write in my notes like every week about like what happened, what my thoughts are like before the slate, and then what happened after. And a couple weeks ago, there was like, hey, all these great game environments, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews are going to be 5%, and they won the slate.
Yeah.
Here we are again, all these good game environments, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews are going to be 5%, and I think they're live to take down a contest.
I can't believe in 2022 with a Daniel Jones led team that I'm like, you know what I should do? Double stack with a bring back.
Yeah,
Like,
I
not
know.
on the Giants side, but the fact that game, I'm like, yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's probably going to be a bunch of points. Bob Rob Detroit, first time being here. Thank you for being here,
Oh,
man. We love it. Make sure you follow the
awesome.
links in the show notes. And real quick, I know I'm going to talk about basketball for 1 second. On Tuesday, we're doing a big live stream from noon to 8 o'clock. We get a ton of different guests. If you follow us on Twitter, you saw we're giving away a Jason Tatum Top Shot debut, a Jaylen Brown Top Shot debut. We're going to have some NBA tickets to give away. I already talked about the Momentum Labs app. the Momentum Labs subscription we're going to be giving away. We have a ton of like incredible guests. I'm really excited about it. You just follow us on Twitter to see what's going on with that. But please come hang for that on Tuesday. It's going to be a good time. Any other questions from the chat? You guys have anything else, or can we go build our lineups?
I think we're good. I think we covered it all, man. Are we giving away this pack?
Let's give it away. So we get 105 entrants. This is last call. I'm going to give you one more minute. You can like the stream, subscribe to Team Hole, put hashtag JohnBoyBeats. If you win this NFL All Day Premium Pack, just shoot me a DM either at Mike Zakarian or in our Discord. Dude, JC Reviews, man. Listen, little backstory about JC Reviews. This guy retired off Top Shot. He did the Lord's work. He was the first one that I remember in the Team Hold streets early on, and would always do this. He's very generous and would give away some incredible moments. And his account was a monster. And he was like, you know what we should do? We should get out of Top Shot. And he was right. He was right.
What a smart play.
That was very kind JC Review. So shout him out. What's Bandit dreaming about now? No, Kelsey's up and moving. So the dog took off. All right, we're going to give this away right now. I see a couple more coming in, but we're giving it away now. Again, shoot me a DM if you win this thing. Shout out AJ and the NFL All Day team. We'll get AJ back on here again soon. We wanted to give her NFL All Day had a busy week, and I know who gave them the weekend off and decided not to DM them. So here we go. Let's spin this thing. Thanks for tuning in this morning. We appreciate you guys all being here. Good luck with the lineups. Hopefully somebody cashes in Rumble. Be good to see. I still have yet to cash, which is kind of funny. Orion. We got Orion in here. Orion's belt. Shout out Orion. Big W there. All right, for John, for me, thanks for tuning in. We are out of here. Orion, hit us up.